Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. I've got an amazing guest today. I know I say that every episode, but I genuinely mean it. I feel so fortunate to be able to chat with so many amazing people from around the world. And today I've got Jonathan Rosenberg from a company called Five9 on the podcast. And he has more than 25 years experience in the industry. And here's the cool bit. He is the co-inventor of SIP and its related technologies. And we're named one of the 100 most innovative technologists in the world by Technology Review magazine. So today I want to be learning more about the problems that they're trying to solve at Five9. For example, with Agent Assist, they're using AI to improve the customer experience and agent experience. But he's also got an inspirational backstory. So I want to learn everything from that backstory, his entire career, and also fast forward to present day, how he sees things like ChatGPT and GPT-3 in the very near future, helping businesses with customer experience and brand loyalty. So with the scene perfectly set, buckle up and hold on tight, because it's time for me to beam your ears all the way stateside, where Jonathan is waiting to speak with us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Jonathan. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here, Neil. My name is Jonathan Rosenberg. I'm the Chief Technology Officer and Head of Artificial Intelligence at Five9. We're a contact center as a service vendor that makes customer experience software for companies and brands all over the world. And my focus is on applying AI technologies to this problem space, an extremely exciting and interesting area these days.
And I'm so excited to get you on the podcast today. And without wanting to date you at all, you do have more than 25 years of experience in the industry. You're the co-inventor of SIP and related technologies, and we're also named one of the 100 most innovative technologists in the world by Technology Review magazine. So I've got to ask though, can you remember where your passion for tech came from, a moment that put you on the path you're on today, or ultimately, what is your origin story?
My art, like superhero artists.
Yeah,
Planning is any of those. There'll be no films about this, I promise. That's a great question. It's funny. Like, I've been interested and excited about technology my entire life, as long as I can remember. In fact, at one point, like 10 years ago, my sisters had dug up this old like VHS video that my parents had made when they were filming my sisters and I as like little kids. And as parents often do, they point the camera at their kids and they say, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And typically kids will answer, "Oh, I want to be a fireman or an astronaut or a doctor." No, at 5 years old, so this is a really long time ago, I said, "I want to make computers." And well, I mean, that's roughly correct, I would say. So even as a little kid, I was sort of excited about technology, and it was nowhere in my family history. I mean, my dad was a salesman, my mom was a teacher, and then caretaker for the family. No one understood technology, was involved in technology. I don't know where it came from. My sisters, in fact, would joke that I must be adopted. So, but all my life is the short answer to that question.
I love that. What a great story. And so can you tell me more about the problems that you're trying to solve at Five9, for example, with Agent Assist, and how you're using artificial intelligence to improve the customer experience and the agent experience too, because that seems to be where the magic lies there. It's not just on one side of the fence. It's both that you're trying to fix, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, in a lot of ways, sort of contact center is a fascinating industry. I've sometimes described it as the market that software forgot, right? Because it's a technology space that hasn't really seen huge waves of innovation in a while. And it represents software that, unfortunately a lot of people don't actually like to use, which is just also like sort of crazy, right? I mean, most people don't like contacting the contact center. Lots of jokes. It's a meme almost, right? About how poor these experiences are, and the agents often don't like it either. And so when you put those together, this sort of got exciting to me, because it's like, oh, this is a problem that we can solve. And what we're trying to solve here at Five9 is turn all of that into a great experience for everyone. Like, we want to make it so that when people, reach out to the contact center and contact a brand with a question, they walk away and every time they have a great experience. They got their answer quick. They got what they needed. People were friendly, polite. It was easy. and we're not there today. And the agents at the same time, like, they like their jobs too. It's not frustrating. It's not mundane. They, get to basically chit chat with people and help them out all day. And that's a positive experience. So what we're doing here at Five9 is trying to realize that dream, and to try and do that by leveraging the power of AI. And we're doing that by really focusing on delivering good experience, not just like save money, but really focus on delivering a great experience. And one of the things we sort of realized is that agent assistance is one of the best ways to do that. What is an agent assistant? What that is when you as a user call a contact center or you're talking to an agent, the agent assistant is sort of listening on the side to the conversation, and it's helping the agent do their job more efficiently, providing information to them, giving them answers, providing them guidance, helping them take care of tasks on an automated fashion. And this is like a win-win-win, right? Because consumers who call the contact center, they get their job done faster. Agents who help customers don't have to deal with mundane tasks, and they can focus more on empathy and the conversation, rather than, putting the customer on hold and typing stuff into web apps all the time. And then the brands win because they save money too. So that's just one of many products and services really we're looking at in the contact center to apply AI to make this a great experience for everybody.
And just listening to you there, it brought back memories of it many, many years ago in another lifetime. At the very beginning of my tech career, I was in a call center on a broadband help desk there. And at the end of a call, now and again, you would be taken to one side and someone would give you feedback on how you handled the call and the technical fix, etc. So I'm curious, how are you using AI to improve that customer experience and agent experience?
Yeah. So agent assist, as we just discussed, is really part of that, right?
Yeah.
Which is to help the customer get the job done faster. Like if you think about like what is the ideal experience as a consumer reaching out to the contact center, like you want to reach an agent that like almost has precognition, like they know what you're going to ask and they know your answer before you even ask it. So like let's say you bought a product and never showed up, right? And so you call customer support and you right away get to the agent. They said, thanks you for calling. Like, I noticed you probably, you never got the package. Is that why you're calling? You'd be like, wow, yeah, that's why I'm calling. How'd you know? And like, oh, well, I can help you. I'll issue a refund to you. And, I also noticed you'd like to, you've expressed an interest in this other program we have. How about I set you up with that? And you're like, oh, that'd be great. But, is that going to take long? No, already done. Thank you. Have a great day. Something like that, right? I made this up as I go here. But like they knew what you wanted. Everything was done instantly. Like, that would be a home run. Like I would call the contact center all day long if that was what it was like. So how do we deliver that precognition experience? And we do it by making agents more efficient. And we do it by also allowing consumers to talk to bots who can, again, act instantly for the right types of tasks. So that's just a few of the ways that we're applying in the contact center.
And I must admit, it just feel like a new law was passed on the stroke of midnight on January the 1st, which meant it was illegal to have a tech or business conversation without mentioning ChatGPT. So we've got to go there. So I'm curious, how do you see things like ChatGPT and GPT-3 helping businesses with things like customer experience and brand loyalty, etc.?
Yeah, great question. So this is a question that has like really keeps me up at night thinking about it.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, to be honest, the more excited I get. I'm going to go so far as to predict that this is the single most disruptive technology in the entire history of the customer experience and contact center marketplace.
Wow.
As big, if not bigger, than the transition to cloud. And the reason is that at the core, if you think about it, the contact center experience is all about language and communication. It's about having customers of a brand communicate with the brand, the company, ask questions, provide feedback, seek help for agents to provide information and communicate it back to them, whether it's through voice or email or chat. The contact center is fundamentally about the conveyance of language. And what these technologies are doing is they're allowing us to use AI to automate tasks that are around language processing in ways that we never could do before. And what's most innovative about it is it's going to allow us to bring it to the masses. And sort of, I'll give you like an example of the kind of things it can do. Just a simple example, just to start, right? So one of the things that happens in the contact center is when you place a call, and you're talking to an agent, at the end of the call, you hang up. The agent, has some work to do. They take notes. They have to write down what happened in the call and save it so that later on, if you call back, the agent knows what happened last time. And a lot of times, to be honest, like they don't do a great job taking notes. So you ever notice this, you call the contact center and every time you have to explain what you called about last time? Yeah. Right. We've all it. That's because this note-taking experience is laborious. It's expensive if you think about it, to have all these people taking notes on every call. Wouldn't it be great if an AI could listen in on a call between you and the agent and automatically summarize it, so that next time you called up, the agent could just read this brief summary and know exactly what happened? That would be amazing. This is a feature called call summarization, and it's existed in the contact center for a while. For the last few years, Five9, it's one of the features we had in Five9 Agent Assist, and it works pretty good. But what we found is that it still takes a whole bunch of time to sort of set up and configure to make it work for the unique conversations in the contact center. And it's fundamentally constrained by only being able to, in the past, only being able to summarize things that you told it to know about. So if a contact center conversation was, not something that had been programmed to know, you wouldn't be able to summarize it. This was like a limitation of the prior generation of technology. With technologies like ChatGPT and GPT-3, all of those constraints go away. And we've been playing around with this, and its ability to automatically summarize calls in a coherent and concise fashion without any setup or configuration, and without any and being able to basically summarize anything, no matter what's discussed, is mind-blowingly good. Mind-blowingly good. And so this is just one. And so imagine we had that everywhere. Like every contact center could have it because you just turn it on and it works. Well, I mean, that would be fantastic. Like this experience of them not knowing, why you're calling back, that we could fix that, and like in addition to saving money for the contact center. So, and this is just one of tons of examples. There's almost no product category in the contact center space that we think isn't going to be massively disrupted and improved with this technology. So I'm almost giddily excited about this. And we've refocused a lot of our engineers, actually did run experiments and play with these tools to confirm many of our hypotheses about how we can use it across our product portfolio. So very, very exciting.
Yeah, me too. Incredibly excited. The only complaint is we didn't do it a few years earlier. Then maybe I'd have a bit more hair today. But that's it. That's story for another day. But
you would have stayed in the contact center for longer. You kept that job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. And of course, many businesses are faced with trying to do more with less right now. And economic uncertainty can also be a great catalyst for innovation. And as a result, we are seeing an increase on innovation right now. And on that topic, I've read a great quote from you before you came on the podcast today, where you said, "Be adopters, not innovators." Can you expand on what you meant by that?
Funnily, I think that might have been the other Jonathan Rosenberg. Not that I disagree with it.
Oh, really?
There's a funny story in that, Neil, too. There's another Jonathan Rosenberg in Silicon Valley who's the Google guy, right? Talks about Google whenever. So you have people and I would get phone calls for him and emails for him, and he must get the same too. Anyway, but I think what it means really, and it is something I agree with, is that it's one thing to sort of innovate and come up with a new idea, but the real hard part about it is using it. And nothing, technology is meaningless unless it gets broadly adopted and used. And in fact, that's really where the innovation lies, is how to make it work for real users at scale. And lots of challenges and learnings come up only when technology faces the customer and gets used by them. So I'm definitely a big believer in that. And it's almost like the core, it's like back to this AI technology I was just talking about, like that the core problem that we've had for decades in AI and in the contact center in particular was that it was it was expensive to adopt. Like the technology could be made to work, but it took, millions of dollars of investment, sometimes for the largest, most complicated implementations, where people wanted to build really fancy IVRs or agent assistants. They could be expensive. And it meant that only the larger contact centers could really afford to do it, and thus limiting adoption. The innovation here, and I get back to GPT-3, is we think it's going to help drive adoption everywhere. That every contact center from 1 agent to 10,000 agents is going to be able to get the benefit of AI. That's the innovation, is enabling adoption.
First of all, a big apology for me from getting the quotes mixed up there, but believe it or not,
it made it all the more interesting.
There is another Neil Hughes out there as well, which is why we go like Neil C. Hughes. And you know what, that other Neil Hughes? He's a tech writer too. We get emails for each other all the time, so hey. I know exactly where you're coming from there.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
Now, you also recently opened a new European research and development site in Portugal over here in Europe. And I think your work spanning artificial intelligence, software engineering, cloud operations, etc. So I'm curious, what are the top challenges that your engineering teams are focused on solving right now?
Yep. So great question. And we're really excited about the Porto office. By the way, as a side note, I haven't been out there yet. We just officially opened it. It's a beautiful location, beautiful town. Porto is wonderful. Known for some great wine. As an audiophile myself, I'm eager to get out there and have some local port. But the engineers, when they're not drinking port, are focused, I guess, on 3 big areas, not just in Portugal, of course, but across our entire engineering team. One is, which I've spoken to already, is how do we make AI more broadly adoptable? That's the fundamental challenge we have in applying AI in the contact center, is how to make it one click, turn it on and it just works. Summarizing calls, providing guidance to agents, chatbots that understand and respond and take actions, quality management tools that automatically can rate agents and give them feedback in real time. These are all the nirvana dreams in the contact center, and that we've had the raw ingredients to do it. The challenge has been in how to get it implemented and configured and set up for each unique contact center at scale. So we're spending a lot of time on that. The second thing we're doing, and it's sort of tied to this, is like rethinking the meaning of data in the contact center in particular. And this is sort of an area too that's been really interesting. If you look at the contact center, it's been one of the biggest users of data, like contact center reporting, where you get reports like on how many calls did you take today and how many hours did your agent work, and how many calls per minute is each agent taking, and how long did each customer wait in the queue, and what the prior time of day were the biggest queue periods, and how many agents do you need to minimize queue times. And it's, I think, a very data intensive kind of application, and has traditionally had lots and lots of analytics and reporting graphs tools. What was fascinating about it is all this stuff was about the metadata of the call, like how long it was and how long you were on hold and how many were waiting. It has historically not really been about the content of the call itself. Yeah. Right. And so one of the things that's happening is, again, owing to AI technologies, we're now able to much more cost effectively transcribe and analyze calls and take a bunch of data that was dark before. The dark data of the contact center is what were people discussing, and start to bring that up and provide analytics and data on that. So this is an area that we're investing heavily in. It's really exciting. So rethinking data is number 2. And the last thing I'll leave you with is we're really, really focused on achieving greater scale, right? As Five9 in particular has sort of continued to land larger and larger customers, we have to support them. And that isn't just like more users on the platform. There's lots of things that larger and larger businesses need around security and better management and tooling that we're investing heavily in as our customer base increases in size. So that's the 3 big challenges that our Porto engineers are working on between SIP support.
Wow, what a beautiful part of the world to have an R&D site there. Absolutely beautiful. I was there last year, and even the train station blew me away with all the tiles around there. It's just stunning, isn't it?
I'll have to check it out. Like I said, I've not been, and I'm looking forward to my visit there soon.
Awesome. And looking back at your past, obviously SIP drove re-engineering of both mobile and wired phone networks that resulted in lower cost communication services and more bandwidth available for data. It brought video to the enterprise, created entirely new markets and some new market categories and creating at least 100,000 jobs in its wake too. So looking forward, though, what excites you about the future in this space and where tech trends are taking us?
Yeah. So it's been fascinating to see. And in fact, we just celebrated the 20th anniversary of the publication of the SIP specification, which is and we had like a mini reunion, and I wrote a blog post even talking with many of the things you just mentioned that created 100,000 jobs and billions of dollars of revenue for businesses worldwide. It's been really great, and you'd think it would sort of be done, but there's always something new, and there are some new things. Actually, the standards activity has not been interesting for a while until the last year or so, and the main thing that we're working on now is around messaging interrupt. And this is a problem almost everyone can understand is, we've got WhatsApp, popular almost everywhere but the US. We got iMessage, and we've got Facebook Messenger. And then there's Android messages and a long tail of sort of messaging platforms after that. And they're not interoperable, right? You can only communicate with users on the same platform. And standards are all about interoperability. Now, historically, this problem, lack of interoperability, wasn't a technical problem. It was a business problem. And that most of these businesses didn't really have any real motivation necessarily to provide interoperability between them. And that sort of changed largely owing to the European Union that passed some regulations recently that are requiring interoperability between these vendors. And so the standards community got sort of excited by this as an opportunity to provide the technical answer. If you've got to provide interoperability, what's the cost-effective, most secure way to do it? And so a whole bunch of new standards activity is spun up in the standards bodies to actually, build a new round of messaging standards that will allow for interoperability between all these applications with all the features people expect. Threading and emojis and reactions and images, of course, and GIFs and all this kind of good stuff. Make sure all that works and will work between applications. So I'm personally involved in that, writing documents for this area of standards, and it's only indirectly related to Five9's business, but it's for the good of the internet, the good of telecommunications, and so I'm excited about it. It's called MIMI, More Messaging Interop.
Incredibly cool. And obviously we started the podcast talking about your origin story, what put you on this path. If I was to ask you to look back and reflect on your career, what is the funniest or most interesting story that has happened to you? Because I suspect you've got a few war stories under your belt, right?
Yeah. And a lot of it, I'd say some of my best stories are like very much related to the history of SIP. And I'll go back to the beginning days. Yeah. I was a researcher doing my PhD and working at the same time on voice over IP. And I just began work on this new idea for this SIP protocol. And I was working on the standards bodies. At the time, I was at Bell Labs, which is part of Lucent Technologies. And Lucent's official sort of standards position was they were promoting an alternative technology that they wanted to, that they were investing in this thing called H.323. And so, I thought this new tech was better, and I was promoting it and working on it. And so at one point I got a call from my boss. He says, "Hey, Jonathan, come into my office. I need to talk to you." So I walk into his office and he sits me down. He says, "Jonathan, I got to tell you something." He says, "I got a call from some other folks here in Lucent, and they tell me that they're upset by your work, that you're disrupting, the sort of the path of telecommunications and the products there, and they weren't happy about it. And I just wanted to tell you, great job." Because if here in research department, if you're not pissing people off, you're not doing anything important. So keep going. And so that was really meaningful to me. And it's sort of guided a lot of my philosophy and my career. And I think it's true. Like if I had lots of people told me no, I can't tell you how many people told me this SIP and VoIP thing would never work. I still hear it. And so, you learn to prove them wrong. And I think I proved them all wrong. So I'm very excited by that.
You certainly did. What an amazing story, a moment to end on. But before I do let you go, for anyone listening, just wanting to find out more information about Five9, maybe dig a little bit deeper on some of the topics we talked about, or even contact your team, what's the best starting point for everything?
Yeah. So for me personally, of course, it's Twitter is a pretty good place. You can find me there. It's at JDRosen2. So don't forget the 2 at the end there, JDRosen2 on Twitter. And then for our brand, you can start with our Twitter handle too. That's at Five9. And of course, Five9.com. And you'll be able to get anywhere from there.
Well, I love chatting with you today, learning more about Five9's technology, architecture, and also the AI strategy, software development, your vision for the future, all wrapped up in your inspiring origin story and some cracking stories there from back in the day. But just a big thank you for sitting down and sharing your story with me today. Really appreciate it, Jonathan.
My pleasure, Neil. It's been a great chatting with you, and hope the listeners had a good listen as well. Thank you.
Wow, what an incredible guy, an incredible career. As I said, the co-inventor of SIP and all related technologies. He was named one of the 100 most innovative technologists in the world by Tech Review magazine. And here he is today, sharing his story, everything that he's experienced in his career, and still looking forward and excited about what the future will bring and how technology will bring people together and improve what we do, not replacing anybody. It's augmenting teams, and it's incredibly cool. I'd love to hear more about where you think this is taking us, and if you've got a story you'd like to share or would like to nominate someone we can get on the podcast, please let me know. As always, you should know this off by heart by now. techblogwriter@outlook.com is my email address. LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all the usual suspects. Just look for @NeilC.Hughes. You'll find me nice and easily there. We'll keep this conversation going, and I'll also prepare another guest for you bright and early tomorrow morning. So thank you so much for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.